Just over a year ago, I quit my job and became a full-time freelance videographer. Here is my story and my journey. If you want to talk about taking risks, this was definitely a risk. I had no idea how this was going to play out. But in the last year, I've been able to work with restaurants, gyms, personal trainers, YouTube brands and channels, and so much more. Things I never thought I'd be stepping into just over a year ago. And so in this video, I want to explain why I quit, what happened, and what I wish I knew before starting. Let's talk about it. Okay, so my last job, I was working for a digital marketing agency. For those in the same position as myself, those words are terrifying. Digital marketing agency. Particularly that last one, agency. Digital marketing agencies, to me, are a great way to make money out of businesses that don't know any better. That's a controversial one, but you see a lot of marketing agencies, they pride themselves in all this language of knowing marketing, and maybe they do know marketing, that's great. But the digital side is where maybe things get a little bit more tricky, because they'll advertise themselves as videographers and photographers without having any expertise of videography and photography. And what they tend to do is hire young people straight out of university or either in university part-time.
The first ones out of the nest are often the fastest, but they have little chance against an insatiable vulture.
Young people who might be great behind a camera but aren't professional. Describe them as professional, sell that to their clients to make more money, even though the photographer, videographer is not getting, it's actually just borderline a scam the more I think about it. So I worked at an agency. I was the main videographer, their photographer, all these things, doing things that were completely beyond what I was even capable of doing. But the agency kept saying, to upselling the clients and making me do things that I wouldn't have chose to do otherwise in the media world. Expecting from one person a full production crew, expecting TV advert quality from one videographer, being able to manage everything. And that's fine. I mean, that's what freelance life is. You are everything in one as a freelancer. But as a freelancer, I get to set my own prices. When you're working for an agency, you're not setting your own prices. They're giving you a salary and it's not worth a fraction of what you are actually worth. Even coming out of university, you are not worth what those agencies are paying you. You're worth so much more. Anyway, I did this agency for about 2.5 years or so. My goal was to last a year. I got trapped, essentially, by my own will. I got trapped in the agency. I kind of just settled into corporate life. I thought it was easy. It was easy. It absolutely was easy. A lot of the time I was also working from home, so it couldn't have been easier. But something started to stir up within me where I wasn't content with easy. I'm not the kind of person that likes the easy path. Sometimes I take the more difficult path because it's a bit more adventurous. And this agency was the easy path. The clients that we were working with, I had no interest in. I couldn't care less about. Therefore, when I went on shoot, I wasn't creating content that, one, I was happy with. But also, most importantly, when you're working for a company, they weren't happy and the client wasn't happy. Therefore, everyone is disgruntled and it's just not a good vibe. And so when the time was coming where I was thinking about going fully freelance, I made one promise to myself. I'm not going to work with clients I don't either, one, believe in. By believe in, I mean like the product that they sell if they're a product-based business. Or two, I just like. If I don't like it, I'm not going to work with it. I think that's a pretty basic rule to stand by. During that work from home period, I started building my own clients. I started messaging businesses. I started just putting myself out there a little bit more on social media about the work that I was doing and just started building a name and portfolio for myself. And then it got to the moment in December 2024 where I knew I was like, right, I gotta go. I'm not gonna survive another year at this. And I know if I go into 2025 in this job, it's gonna drive me crazy. So I remember I was in Belfast one day. I was meant to be working from home, and I just called the boss. I'm like, I just gotta tell you, like, this is my notice. I wasn't even contracted or anything. There's no contract. There's no legality. I could have just walked out that day, but I gave him the due diligence of saying, you've got me for another month and that's it. He knew it was coming. He's like, there's no amount of money I can offer you. This is going to make you stay. And I'm like, there's not. There's definitely not. And he's like, fair enough. Right, well, that's grand. And so that was it. I just made the phone call. I said, I'm done. And driving home from Belfast that day, I remember feeling this like crazy euphoria. And then instantly, I remember my emotions switching to dread, like complete dread. I just realized what I did. I threw my security out the window. I didn't even have recurring clients. I didn't have any retainer clients. I just had some people that I worked with. And I was like, okay, I actually got to make money now. And it's funny because on the way home, I got a phone call from a business I had a previous relationship with. And they just rang me and says, oh, hey, I need you to do this video for us. It's this kind of job, blah, blah, blah. And it was good money. It was like, it was a 4-figure job. And after that phone call, I was just trying to hold back my laughter. I'm like, you know what? It's actually going to be all right. This is going to work out. Like, nothing could have prepared me for that phone call. I came out of the blue. That was something that business was thinking about. We need a videographer for this job. Hey, we'll just call Josh. And just on that moment of me driving home with dread in my gut after quitting my job. And since then, there's not too often now where I really worry about things not working out, because things can change so quickly, and they always do. So anyway, 2025 starts, I'm unemployed. No, I'm not unemployed, but I'm figuring stuff out. And as 2025 started, I launched a 30-day social media campaign where I posted every day to see what the effects were. And honestly, I put to where I am now down to those 30 days of pushing myself out there. I posted every day for 30 days. Client videos, I met up with clients and got them to do testimonials of how my content benefits their platform and their brand, all these kind of videos and all this kind of content that I was pushing out there. And that was transformational, because it was from the back of that I was building more clients. And when I say building clients, I'm not talking about retainer clients. I'm talking about these one-off jobs that either they'll come back to me 6 months later looking at another video, or they don't come back at all. So they're more just one-off jobs than clients. I should rephrase that. But I was able to make it through. I got through January, I got through February, I got through March. I was getting through the months. And was it successful? Not really. I mean, like, I was doing my own thing. I was so happy to be freelance. The creative freedom that I felt come back to me was absolutely immense. Like, nothing could have compared to it. I felt like I was stepping into a full new career path, even though it's the same line of work that I was doing in the agency, but because I had the creative control over it, and that I was the one talking to the clients and was discussing together on what we want the content to look like, changed everything. Some of my first clients in 2025, one was a restaurant that I did a lot of work for repetitively for months. That was a real fun one. It wasn't retainer, it was just whenever they wanted content, but they seemed to want content maybe every month or every other month. That was a brilliant one. That one that helped push even me out there, because they had a really big following. Loved that. A couple of gyms and personal trainers who were quite big I was able to work with. That was brilliant. And here's the thing, I just kept using all the content from these couple of clients that I was working with and just kept posting on social media. And what that did was make me look so much busier than I really was. And people always say to me like, oh, you're flat out, you're so busy. I'm like, no, I'm just posting work that I've been doing. Like, it's not every day is me working 14, 17 hours a day. Not at all. All I was doing was just posting. But that seemed to drive more of a demand, because when people seen me posting, they're like, oh, he must be good because he's working with that person or that person. So then they reached out, and I just kept snowballing, a month, where I would start the month, and if I was looking at my bank, I'm like, this isn't good. This is not good. To then by the end of the month, I'm like, wow, how did I get all my bills paid? That's crazy. Work just slowly came in. It came in last minute. It just seemed to work out, and I don't even know how to describe a lot of it. The goodness of God is probably what it really goes down to. But anyone who's freelance will probably say the same thing. It just works out. It just seems to work out, and as long as you're putting the work in and you're not being lazy, because you can't just sit at home and do nothing, sleep in and go to bed early, like all these things where you're not actually working. You got to put the work in. The guy was grinding. I was working really hard. Each client, I treated it like they were my child. The work that I was putting out, I really did put the work in. I know I absolutely made mistakes throughout that time. There was things I slacked on, but that's something I've learned over this past year and a bit of, you know what, I got to actually prioritize and make that very clear to the clients, like give them clear deadlines. Clear communication is what really started to change everything for me. Something that surprised me from the get-go was how willing people were to spend money. When I was working at the agency and I was trying to build up my freelance career on the side, I didn't think there was a lot of money about. To put it like that, I didn't think that businesses had a lot of money to spend, just probably from the stuff I was hearing from the agency, and realizing now that was just probably their way of saying we can't pay you more because there's not enough money. But then going freelance and actually talking to clients and experiencing like real conversations with businesses, there's a lot of money out there. That was definitely something I wasn't familiar with. I wasn't familiar with there being so much money in the industry. And so at the start, 100% I messed up by pricing way too low on so many projects. Definitely underpriced a lot. There was a lot of people in my life who I had to call frequently and be like, how would you quote this? How would you price this? And then whatever they gave me, I would have knocked off maybe £400 or £500 because I didn't have the confidence in myself to to charge that much. And so I consistently lowballed. I consistently did the £200 to £300 shoots, which to me, I'm like, yeah, but for them, that's probably a lot of money. And then when you really realize that, like, no, it's not a lot of money for that person or that business. And all I'm doing by charging that little amount is selling myself short and showing them that I don't value my work and the quality of my work as much as I should. And so now my pricing structure is so different. It's vastly different to what it was when I started a year ago. For me, I price everything individually. So if a coach or a PT asks me, hey, how much to do like this one video, I'm not going to charge them 4 figures for one video, unless it's like a 40-minute video, then that's different. But if they're just looking at like 1 or 2 social media videos, I'll price that individually. And then if a big business comes to me looking content, yeah, it's going to be a different quote because there's going to be different equipment use, there's going to be a different amount of time on post, pre-production, all that kind of stuff. I don't know if it is making sense, but what I'm trying to say is when I set price lists, I felt like I was just getting used and abused. I felt like clients were maybe taking advantage of you if you just had a price list that covers everything instead of individually pricing projects. So I don't know how you price your work, but for me, I know that individual pricing for each client is so much more effective than just doing a price list. Because with the individual pricing, I can actually tailor packages for a client instead of just giving them something broad and letting them try to squeeze their vision into that. Instead, I'm allowing them to let their vision be played out and filmed and captured within the budget. Anyway, I could talk about all this stuff all day, but that's just a little bit about me. For the agency, I worked for many different companies doing social media, doing photography, videography, all that kind of stuff, doing the social media side of things. I've got 10 to 15 years of experience of working with cameras at this point. Oh, I feel so old. I'm only 26 to be fair, but I've been doing this what feels like a lifetime and I absolutely love it. And this new stage, this year and a bit of being freelance just feels like fresh fire for this industry, for creativity and just everything that comes with that. I'm just excited. And so that's what this channel really is. I've noticed on YouTube, a lot of YouTubers who talk about the things of videography, they're either running their own kind of agency or they're full-time into videography doing other things, but I haven't seen too many content creators that are freelance doing YouTube. And so I thought I'd give this a go, share some of the stuff that I find tricky, some of the things that I find interesting, all things media related, talking about how some shoots work, the equipment that I use, why I use certain equipment, and just some fun creative stuff that we're going to do along the way. The purpose of this channel isn't to blow up and become the next big thing. I'm just having fun. I want to share a bit of the industry and inspire hopefully young people, or doesn't actually need to be young, anyone who's got an interest in videography, who's got an interest in starting their own career freelance, or maybe the person that's stuck in an agency and is down to get out. This is for you. To summarize, I quit my job at a digital marketing agency because it was driving me mental. Boys, I'm telling you, I've got so many stories that horror stories, that's what they should be called. I will say this, I don't want to bash agencies as a whole, not at all, that's not what I'm trying to get at. Just me working at an agency, it seemed to stumble my creativity, and that's what I didn't like. Well, now I make the rules, I choose the clients, and from there, with the client and me, we can create something that we both will be proud to present. So that's passionate. The agency did teach me a lot though, like genuinely, like really good stuff about how to handle clients and how to manage clients. The real corporate side of things, I definitely needed that corporate experience, because if I just went straight from working with small businesses, running their videography, photography departments and all that kind of thing, then going into the freelance world like this, for me personally, I don't think it would have been a good idea. I needed that corporate grounding just to kind of see how the real business side of things worked. And yeah, 2.5 years of that, I got it, I left. I'm doing my own thing and I feel so much better for it now. Yeah. But I gotta ask you guys, what do you do? Are you freelance? Are you in agencies? Are you just hobbyists and enthusiasts or students? Let me know in the comments where you are on this media world, or if you're involved in it at all. I'd still like to know. Make sure you subscribe, like, share if it means something to you. My equipment list is in the description, as well as my other handles for social media. Make sure you check them out. I'm going to be doing more content regularly. And yeah, I'm excited to share my journey, my stories, and all the things that I get up to in my freelance life with you all. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.